It is 6:31. We have 9 voting members visiting us, so we do have a quorum present. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to the Windham Central Supervisory Union Board and Executive Committee meeting, including our reorganization. I get to call this meeting to order, and I get to ask for a nomination for the election of chairperson. As a reminder, any nominations do not need a second. So I will open the floor if anybody would like to nominate an individual for chairperson of the WCSU board.
I'm happy to nominate someone.
All right, Emily Long, would you please go ahead and nominate?
I would like to nominate Richard Werner.
Okay. Richard Werner has been nominated by Emily Long, and I will see if there are any other nominations for the chair of the Windham Central Supervisory Union Board. I would, as we're pausing, if you please notice that Al Clausen has received an enormous amount of sun in the last 4 or 5 days. So just a nice visual that we can all see that.
Sorry for burning your eyes out.
All right, hearing no other nominations, I will close nominations for chairperson. And Emily, would you like to say anything before I call for a vote?
I would be honored to say something. I am thrilled to have been able to work with Rich for this many years, and I think he does a fantastic job leading us, and I would love to see him continue. And I also wanted to say thank you to him for his dedication to Windham Central.
Emily, thank you very much. So now I will go through a roll call vote for the chair of the board chair for Windham Central Supervisory Union. I will look in my box and I will start with Joe Winrick. Joe Winrick, what say ye?
Aye.
Aye. Dan MacArthur.
Aye.
Dwight Borum. Kate Rideout.
Aye.
Rachel Boyden.
Aye.
Leanne Gilson.
Aye.
Al Clausen.
Aye.
Emily Long.
Aye.
And Dana West.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous. I will now pass off the rest of the meeting to our newly elected chair from Windham Central Supervisory Union, Mr. Richard Werner. Richard, please take it away.
Thank you, Bill. Hey, Emily, I think you're confused because we only graduated from high school 5 or 6 years ago, didn't we?
Yes, Rich, that's true.
Yes. In my dreams. Hey, so the next item of business is election of a vice chairperson. And for the last several years, Emily has served in that capacity. So would anybody like to make a nomination for vice chair of Windham Central?
I would be pleased to nominate Emily Long for that position.
Thank you, Dan. And as Bill said, we don't need a second. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. I'm going to do it a little different. I'm going to ask I'm going to ask for all the ayes, and if it appears to be unanimous, I will say so. I will pause, and if nobody objects, then I will consider it to be unanimous. So are all those in favor, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
It appears to be in the affirmative unanimously. It is. Emily, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Election of the clerk. Al Clausen, the chair over there in West River, has been our clerk for many a year too, but he graduated after Emily and I, so can I have a nomination for our clerk, please? And remember, the clerk is the person that gets served when we get sued.
Then I definitely nominate Al Clausen.
Joe, I don't know. You got know something we don't know, buddy?
I respectfully do. No, okay.
No, I don't think you can decline. I thought I read that in Robert's rules, but maybe not. Are there any other nominations for clerk? Anybody else want to get served?
I get served for a living.
No, I'm not talking about food.
No. My
Oh.
business is, I am registered agent. My company's registered agent for 30, 40,000 entities, world, country, nationwide.
No
I
kidding.
get served for a living.
So they got like a beeline right to your property, Joe. They know right where
Absolutely.
to find you. If there, I hear no other nominations. Joe doesn't want to get served any more than he has. So if there's no other nominations, again, all those in favor of Al Clausen as our clerk, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Congratulations, Al. If you see a sheriff's car pulling up to your door in the next 5 minutes, run. Authorized signatures. So this is a couple people from the board that are able to sign on behalf of the Windham Central for pay warrants when we don't have meetings. And I believe it's been myself and Al for the last few years, or do we have a different person, Bill?
Yeah, I believe it has been the chair and the clerk.
So if I could get a motion from somebody, that will need to be seconded.
I move that the chair and the clerk be the authorized signatures.
Thank you, Dana. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that, Dan MacArthur.
Okay, thank you, Dan. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Again, it appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Paper of record. Brattleboro Reformer is our paper of record, even though it's now what, a 5-day-a-week paper. So that's where our legal notices get posted, our meeting notices get posted, and if we get sued, I guess it gets posted in there too, Al. So I could, if somebody, Bill, we have a new person on, Crystal.
Yeah, she's a West River Education District board member.
Okay, thanks, Crystal. Hey, we're down to the paper of record. So welcome to the meeting. Can I get a motion for the paper of record to be the Brattleboro Reformer?
So moved.
Joe moved. Do I have a
Emily
second?
will second.
Thank you, Emily. Emily seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify so by saying aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Meeting time and date. So Bill.
So
yeah,
I did not include a calendar this year, so I wanted to leave that open for when you create your new world with your new superintendent. What I would suggest is that we do our meetings are typically the 4th Wednesday of every month when it is necessary. Your next scheduled meeting would be the last Wednesday of September. And I would ask for the board's patience in allowing the officers to meet with the superintendent over the summer to create that calendar, but with the expectation that you would have a meeting at the end of September.
Isn't that usually the retreat too, Bill?
Yeah, and again, another reason why you're going to want to meet with Bob and kind of plan out what you want the retreat to look like. I just think it's important to just note that your meetings will be on the 4th Wednesday of each month as necessary, and to be prepared for, October, November during budget season, and then just wait to hear in August probably what that calendar looks like after the officers have an opportunity to meet with the superintendent.
Dan?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that we just pass over this and let the officers and Bob propose a calendar before the end of the summer. Otherwise, they may have to change something that we've already codified.
Yeah, that sounds good, especially since we've got a new gentleman coming in. Even though he's known to a lot of us, I think it would be good to give him a little time to get his feet under him.
So I'll make that as a motion that we pass over this item.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do I have a second to pass over?
I'll second it. Dana West.
Okay, thank you, Dana. Is there any discussion on that? I see Bob came online for a second, gave us a big thumbs up. So If there's no discussion, all those in favor signify so by saying aye.
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 It,
Aye.
it appears to be a unanimous decision. It is. Crystal, I don't know, you came on a little late. What we're doing, instead of doing a roll call vote, is we're giving, if it appears to be unanimous, I'm going to state so and give a couple seconds. And if you don't think, if somebody doesn't think it was a unanimous decision, we can call for a roll call vote. I was just trying to move the meeting along so we didn't spend an hour doing roll calls. Appoint treasurer, which I believe is Lori Garland. So that would require, this is an appointment, not an officer of the board. So I believe it needs a motion and a second. I see Lori's here to ask us to vote for her. She's promising us a chicken in every pot.
I
I would
will,
like to make a motion that we appoint Lori Garland as the treasurer of
and I will
WCSU.
second it.
Okay, so Dan moved and Emily seconded. Lori's shaking her head, so I think she's okay.
Sorry, Lori.
So if there's no discussion, if you're ready to vote, all those in favor of Lori signify so by saying aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is.
So the next item H.
Well, hang on, Bill. Don't jump the gun.
Okay.
It is unanimous. You didn't give me that second. Go ahead, Bill. Sorry.
So we do not have a current our current person. Well, go ahead, Lori. It's much better
Thank
coming
you.
from Lori.
Our current assistant treasurer is actually leaving WCSU as of June 16th. She is moving out west. So we wish her well. Terry Fletcher has been with WCSU for 28 years. So maybe longer than Rich and Emily. I'm not sure, but she has provided a wonderful service for 28 years. She is moving on, and I would like to put forth Heidi Russ's name as the assistant treasurer.
So, Lori,
Yes,
Heidi wouldn't start till July 1st.
correct.
So will Terry still be able to do anything? Because this is as of today.
Right.
So-
So the assistant treasurer just does things when I can't. So, it's not a problem. I'll be the treasurer. So from today on.
Because I think we could also appoint Terry till, June 30th and appoint Heidi July 1st, if that wouldn't be better for you in case something happens.
We could just do it as Heidi as of today as well. She's
Okay.
in the building and she's
Okay.
working.
I wasn't sure. So,
Yeah.
so we have for the first time since Emily and I have been in high school, there's a new assistant treasurer, Heidi Russ. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to
nominate
appoint
Heidi
Heidi
Ross.
as assistant treasurer.
Okay, I'm going to give it to Dana as the motion and Joe as the second. Is that okay with you
Sure.
guys?
That'll work.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Lori,
No.
make sure you thank Terry for all her service.
Amen. Yes.
So all those in favor, please signify so by saying aye.
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 Appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. So I will move on to set surety bond amounts. So board members, we're not worth much. We only get 1,000. Treasurers, I'm surprised, only get 5,000, but the business manager and employee dishonesty get 100,000. So I don't know how long that would last, but if somebody would like to make a motion to set those amounts.
I'll make that motion, Dan MacArthur.
Thank you, Dan. Do I have a second?
Kate will second.
Thank you, Kate. So Dan moved, Kate seconded. The surety amounts, 1,000 for the board, 5,000 for treasurers, and 100,000 for business manager and employee dishonesty. If there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is grant superintendent authority to accept grants. We have to do this so when grant money comes in that they can accept it. It's a pretty standard thing. So if somebody'd like to make a motion to that effect.
I'm happy to make that motion.
Okay,
Give it to
thank you.
Emily.
Emily made the motion. Dana, you seconded that?
Yep, I second it.
Thank you, Dana. So Emily moved, Dana seconded that the superintendent has the authority to accept grants on behalf of our organization. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify so by saying aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Policy committee. So we usually have a policy committee as a standing committee. We ask for one representative from each of the districts, Marlboro, Windham, Stratton, West River, and River Valley. So we just need the ability to form a policy committee. And I think, Bill, between you and Bob, there's going to actually be several policies to be looked at this fall.
Yes, and everybody at their reorganization meetings identified an individual to be a member of that WCSU committee. And what I would expect if the WCSU board creates the committee, that again, probably in August, there'll be some communication out about gathering that committee together to begin looking at those policies in the fall.
Okay, so we're not actually voting for members of the committee. We're just voting to form the committee. So could I get a motion to that effect, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Rachel. Do I have a second?
Kate will second.
Thank you, Kate. So Rachel moved, Kate seconded to form a policy committee. And is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of said policy committee signify so by saying aye.
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 Hey, oh, thank you. It appears to be affirmative, unanimously affirmative. It is, so we have a policy committee. So Bob, over the summer, we should just send out, Bill, make sure we get a list of who the people are and just let them know this fall, there are going to be some meetings that they're going to have to take care of, and they'll form themselves and elect their own chairperson and work on whatever you guys think needs to be worked on to bring forth to the board.
Perfect.
Thank you, guys. So now that got through the reorganization, we have to review and revise the agendas may be advisable. I was told that there was one district had something they wanted to bring up under new business. Bill, I think you mentioned West River had something.
No, we added that. That was the Transportation Committee.
Okay. Oh, should we have done that under organization?
No, it's under new business.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. Is there anything else to be revised on the agenda? You guys ready to rock and roll through this? Cool. Can I get a motion to approve the April 26th, 2023 minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Al. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second.
I'm going to give it to, I don't know who got that. Joe, was that you?
It was, but somebody else was right after me.
Okay, so we'll give it to Joe this time. Al moved, Joe seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, again, it appears to be unanimous in the affirmative. It is Lori, fee for service budget.
All right. Do I have co-host, Bill? I can't hear you. You're muted.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
So just while Lori's pulling this up, several years ago, we started adopting the fee for service after the annual meetings, in case a board had a budget turned down and they need to adjust their budget, that we didn't approve this ahead of time. So this is, Lori, these are the different programs that school districts will buy from the SU, such as music and band and
Right. Can everybody see my screen here? I know it's small. I'm going to try and make it bigger. Only find the. There we go. How's that better?
yep, that looks good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the fee for service budget, as Rich said, has been with us for a long time. There really isn't too much left in it because most things have moved directly into your own budgets, being bigger entities at this point. So there's the ELL, English language learner teacher, that is, could have been actually moved to all of West River, but we weren't sure until after that budget was almost done. So it's living in here. Band has now moved into both or all the budgets directly. And then PE is in this budget because they actually do 3 schools or 3 districts. So, we'll see where that shakes out for fiscal year 25. So then moving down, we've got some guidance service that is in West River's budget only. However, it's split with special ed. So this is a place where it can be. And then the instructional staff training, this is the from the master agreement. So it only affects West River and Windham Central's budget. Technology has moved to the super's budget. This other support services, this was Peter Barris when he was doing the minutes for all of you, but that obviously has changed and you are all now paying individuals actually for your own service. So this will not be billed to you because you're paying for it within your own district. So this will be reconciled at the end of the year. Then we have some transportation that affects River Valleys and West River here. And then the food service. This food service operations part of this budget is really part of the compliance piece. And it supports all of the technology that goes along with the food service and doing all of the audits, which we had 3 monitoring visits this past year. So well worth the money there to keep us on the straight and narrow. So that is the fee for service budget. It is $1,247,158. I forgot to take off the cents there, but that is what needs to be approved in order to issue some contracts in this budget.
So the motion you're looking for is to approve the agency service, the fee for service budget in the amount of 1 million. There you go. Thank you.
Right there. You got it.
$2,471.58. Would
Yes.
somebody be interested in making that motion?
Happy to make it.
Okay, so Joe moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second. This is Dan.
Okay, so Joe moved, Dan seconded, $1,02,471.58. So this is actually less than what we looked at then last time we were doing budgets. And Lori, if you pulled some stuff out, right?
Yes, and I'll continue to do that. There are some things that just really should be moved out of here at this point now anyway. So this served a tremendous purpose when it was created, when all the districts were really small, but it's really becoming, it should be part of the superintendent's budget as a whole, because you've already voted, all of you have voted your budgets. So you've voted these already, these amounts that are in here. So all your budgets passed.
So it's not going to change any district's budgets.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's correct.
Are there any other questions, discussion? Joe and Dan, you guys moved and seconded. You get first dibs.
I'm all
No.
set. It sounds good to me.
Yeah, no comments here.
A comment from anybody? Any questions for anybody? Lori, from now on, don't explain it so well, and then you'll get some questions.
Okay.
If you guys are ready to vote, then I will entertain all those in favor of this budget of $1,02,471.58 for fee for service, signify so by saying aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. I get the thumbs up from Bill, so it is. So congratulations. We just spent $1,204,471.58 in probably 5 minutes. I thought my wife spent money fat. Lori, the financials, this was a review. You had sent this out earlier, correct?
So I actually did the financials the last meeting, and it's in your minutes if you want to review it. Not a lot has changed since your last meeting. You know, we're winding down the end of the year. At your next meeting, I'll have a review of fiscal year 23. But so I don't have any new financials to present to you.
Okay, but everything, there's been no major surprises. Nothing's going super over budget that it was a concern to you or? No.
As a matter of fact, everything is really coming out pretty close to where we thought it would. And you're looking at an increase in fund balance across all of the different funds, the main funds that we deal with. So.
Well, thank you for taking care of our money for us.
You're welcome. Pleasure.
Are there any questions for Lori on any of the financials that you've seen in the past meeting that you wish to ask, or is there anything that anybody has any questions on? Yep. Did somebody have a question? Can we stop sharing because we don't need this anymore, right?
Well, I think the next thing is the major grants budget for your just a review, and then the chart for ESSER.
Okay. So you guys ready to move on? Go ahead, Lori, do the major grants, bud.
Okay. Let me see if I can get over there. There we go. All right, so this looks kind of messy, but it's really just the major state and federal grants that come through the SU. I don't believe there's action that it's just really to show you, where we're at. We're actually in the middle of applying for these, it is applying for some of these grants right now. So these numbers will probably change. But you can see, we're actually reducing this year, and a lot of that has to do with the ESSER funds. ESSER 2 is, we're spending it out for the end of fiscal year 23. So there won't be any ESSER funds in 24. There's some ARP money, which is also from the pandemic, American Rescue Plan is what ARP stands for. And so that was some extra special ed money. That's all been spent. A new grant for us this year is the ARP after school grant that will support mainly West River's after school program, adding an additional site. So that is really it. This is, please review it. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. This is a pretty high level look at the grants that we, and what we spend them on. A lot of salary is what we spend it on. You can see we haven't budgeted it all yet. So we're in the process of doing that. Are there any questions on the grant funds?
I'd say move on, Lori.
Okay. So here is just a quick overview of ESSER 2. So back up 1 second. ESSER 1, we've spent out last year. That one was done. We're finishing up ESSER 2 this year. So you can see it was almost $1 million. You can see where the money was spent in the different eligible categories. And, I'm very proud to say that we spent a lot of money on addressing learning loss and also mental health services. Those were two of our biggest areas that we spent money on. So really pouring the money right back into the students. Same thing for ARP ESSER. Now this is a $2.2 million grant and it will go through September of 2025. So there's still some time on this. This is where everything has been budgeted. We haven't spent all this money yet. So again, where we're spending the most money addressing the learning loss. So that's pouring it right back into the students. So that's just a quick overview of those two large grants that we received that came out of COVID. Any questions on that one?
Yeah. Do you have any feel from like what are other districts spending? Because it looks like on the ESSER 2, you're spending like better than a third on learning loss, and on the second grant, it's almost half, or it's better than half. Is that pretty common, or are we just kind of special?
Really excellent question. And I have asked the state for something similar to this. And at the time that I asked, they were not able to provide that information to me. I will tell you that some of the districts throughout the state that received quite a bit more money. One is Windham Southeast and around us, Windham Northeast. They are spending quite a bit of theirs on capital projects, capital improvements, infrastructure, that type of thing. But whereas this, we received, an adequate amount of money for our district, but not really enough to put into a big capital project. So we poured it back into our student learning.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it got divvied up, that was a decision was that the cabinet or the entire admin team from all the districts as well, or?
That was an entire leadership team and based on ADM. Global use at WCSU and ADM for all the individual districts. So that basically working off of our freedom and unity. We had some things that were unified that were going to be very valuable for everybody. And there were some things that were very specific to each district while getting the input from the principals in those districts about where they believed the student need was. So I feel very proud about how that distribution worked.
So good slap on the back for all of you. It looks like
very proud of the leadership too, because they really put time and effort into, they basically applied for this, they allocated the money and they wrote why they thought it was necessary. They put a lot of time and energy and did a fantastic job. So
Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome. I can stop sharing now if that makes sense.
Yeah. Is there any questions on the ESSER monies, ESSER 1 and 2? And
Rich, I just wanted to say, this really just shows what a student-centered approach we took to it. I mean, just looking down the list and, addressing learning loss, mental health services. I think our students will be in a much better place. May take time. I mean, we're all seeing that it's not just flip the switch and we're back in business. But this is a great approach. I really appreciate it.
I made a comment at the last state board meeting because there was a comment made, well, this decision was made based on the student-centered decision. And I said, wow, what a concept. Somebody's actually making a decision based on the student's needs. Isn't that amazing? So I'm really tickled. I've always felt that WCSU is head and shoulders above other districts in the state. And it just, we've had some great leadership. We've had great capacity building. look at where we've been, look at where we're moving towards, and there's a lot of consistency. So good job, everybody. Pats on the back. Bill, give everybody a pat on the back before you leave for us. Lori, the last thing we had was year-to-date financials, but you kind of covered them. Did you want to show anything on that, or any other comments?
No, just what I said before. We're looking good, winding down to the end of the year.
So I would say, Lori, that unless somebody has something they really need you for, you can go away if you want, or you can stay and see what happens the rest of the meeting.
All right. Well, I'll take some of my night back. I appreciate all of you. Nice to see your faces.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
Bye-bye.
Is there any other old business that anybody has? Hearing none, new business. School district reports, Marlboro, where's Dan?
Dan had to go to a grandson's birthday party, so I'm
Oh.
completely unprepared for this.
Okay.
Hey,
So I know you
Rachel?
hired a new principal.
Rachel, I'll help you. Just all you have to do is share what Marlboro has been working on or dealing with or thinking about. You wrote wonderful letters to, Potash Hill. The other districts are just really interested in what Marlboro is kind of working on.
Okay, well, we do have a new principal. And we are also, as Bill mentioned, we have reformed our building committee. And we've been in contact with our architects and then with the folks at Potash Hill, which is what now the Marlboro College campus is called, to explore whether or not we're going to move our facility to that place, Potash Hill, or not. That's still very much up in the air. A lot of problems to be covered in that one. Other than that, from what I can see, those teachers are doing really great at Marlboro. There's a little bit of a bumpy road every now and then, and we got through it. We got a strong middle school because the town voted for that. So anything else I should add, Bill, that you can think of?
No, I would just say that, you are recently elected. Andrea Burke was recently elected. So we got a lot of, great positive energy in the Marlboro board. We got some people that have been there for a while. And we got some new people coming, really good energy with a new principal coming, really good transition through the board. I just feel really positive about where Marlboro is and where they're headed. So I think you nailed it, Rachel.
Thanks. I should say that unfortunately, Jeremy Kirk, who had been on the board for I'm not quite sure how many years, is very overworked, took on an extra congregation, and so he resigned. And so we are actually down a member and looking for volunteers to fill his term. And maybe this would be the place that I could ask, do we have a time limit before we fill that term?
No, it's whenever the board decides to appoint until
Okay.
the next election.
Well, there used to be a 30-day time limit. Has that changed?
No, there is no limit in which they have to appoint. They just have the ability to appoint until there's a next regular election.
Okay, great. Well, I don't think we'll wait till the next, because his term doesn't come up for a year and a half. So
Right.
we're looking, but see what we can do. Thanks.
And you have a new chairman too, don't you?
Yes, Dan is the new chair. I am the vice chair, and Andrea Burke is our new clerk. Doug is working his way toward he's going to not run for reelection in 24.
Okay, well, thank you for the Marlboro update.
You're welcome.
I don't
Just Rich, we had a new member of the public, Mr. Paul Patus has joined us. He is here for item D under the new business.
Okay. Paul, we'll be there in a couple minutes. I hope you can hang out with us for a few. I don't see anybody from Stratton, so.
Stratton is rolling along. Stratton is nice and steady. And Stratton's feeling really excited about the summer and enjoying the warm weather.
And you want to fill us in on Windham too?
Windham is going through some transition in their school leadership. And Bob and I are working with the board to look for a new teaching principal and a new classroom teacher as Windham moves into the 23-24 school year. They just reorganized, and Beth McDonald was reelected as the chair. And they have a new board member, Rory, and I do not know her last name, but she has a son at Leland and Gray, and is very excited about joining the Windham board and participating in all things WCSU.
Cool. In River Valleys, it finally happened to us, folks. Windham Central stole one of our employees. So we lost Matt Martin, who we stole from you guys 7 years ago. And he's going back to technology at WCSU. Bob and I are going to have a little conversation about that at some point. But and at the same, just before Matt dropped that bombshell, our Wardsboro principal is going to work for the state of Vermont in the Department of Education doing early education stuff. So very late in the season, we wound up looking for a couple principals, and we actually made offers to a couple, and a couple didn't take the offers. And luckily we had a pretty good candidate field. We had several people for each position, and there were numerous strong candidates. There was kind of like I could take either one. So we got very fortunate there, which I was concerned because the last times we've hired principals, the last 3 that I've been on, at least in Dover, we've had years, over a year to fill the position. I was surprised, but I felt we did pretty good. We have had also a few teaching vacancies that are being filled. The year is coming to a close very soon. It'll be kind of a little sad with Bill leaving. We've had an extra 7 years of Bill, and with Matt leaving and Tammy leaving, but I think we're in some pretty good shoes. I'm hoping we're in the process of finishing negotiations with the staff for a contract. I think most everybody's pretty happy, and we're pretty excited. I think the next meeting we're going to be discussing our testing benchmarks and where we stood. And I think our administration led us to believe that the tests are nowhere near as bad as they could be. So that's a positive. As Al said, it's still going to be a couple years, I think, until we feel more normal, or whatever the new normal is going to be. Dwight or Kate, any other thoughts? Oh, we have a new board member too. Mark Schauber, who's been on the board for 2 terms, I think, or 1 term, I guess. He was appointed in 3 years, and he didn't get reelected this year. There's a new gentleman, Mike, whose wife is a teacher down in Wilmington, Twin Valley. He's actually come to the last couple WCSU meetings just to see what's going on. He seems very interested. So hopefully, Mark had some pretty big shoes to fill, but Mark is still going to be our VSBA rep, and I was hoping Dan would be around long enough to talk about that, because I think he comes off the board in September when they have their re-elections. So there hasn't been a lot of interest from other districts, WCSUs. So if you think it's something you may want to get involved with at the state level on the Vermont School Board Association, Emily was president of that for a few years, did it for a lot of years. I was on it for a short time. I know Dan's been on it at different times, a few times. So it's good to have some good representation from us. Emily, do you want to say anything about that quick?
Yeah, well, I would just echo what you said. I think it's a really important organization. And our sort of echoing what you also said about our SU, I think our influence on the VSBA board statewide is critical. And I would really love to see someone step into that if Dan is not able to do it. I don't know. I mean, he's been a good board member, so I would welcome him doing it again. But if he doesn't, we need to find another one.
Well, and even somebody to take Mark's place, because he won't be eligible to run again in September. So If you have any questions, check with Emily or Dan. They'll be able to tell you. I do believe Dan intends to run again because I talked to him to find out how what happened if he had to come off or if he could serve out the rest of his term. Not Dan, but Mark.
Mark.
So, and then that I think leads us. Kate and Dwight, you said you were all set, and then Al.
Yeah, a lot of exciting things going on at the West River Education District. It's that time of year, right? We have field trips. We've had the prom. We got graduation right around the corner, a week and a half. Sports. We've got. I'm very close to a couple of those teams. So the softball team, they're 5th ranked in the state, and the baseball team's 3rd ranked in the state. So. Yeah, really exciting times with that. And we also, as has been alluded to, we have some leadership changes coming up. And so these are just the kind of changes that I love to see in organizations where you have succession from within. I mean, it's fantastic that we have, Bill has groomed, and now Bob is ascending to be the superintendent. And then also within, his leadership, he's now had Dana, who's ascending to be the principal. And then also we have a teacher who will become the assistant principal. So I love seeing that within an organization. It just it shows the strength of leadership when you have something like that. And then also within the district, we are over the summer, administration is going to take kind of a deep dive into what we've done for long-term planning. There's been a lot of information, a lot of things that we've done. So they're going to gather it, synthesize it, and distill it down into something that is kind of like an executive summary for us to review. And then hopefully it continue to advance from there. I think one thing we've learned, many things we've learned, but one thing is that this is more of a kind of a near-term solution, as well as maybe more of a long-term generational kind of change that we'll have to look at. So the short term is 3 to 5 years, or maybe even 5 to 10. The generational is what we do. The stake that we put in the ground is going to last for 25 to 50 years. So certainly some careful consideration that will have to go into that. So a lot of involvement from a lot of folks. All right. And that's it.
Thank you, Al. Any comments, questions for Al? I'm going to table the board chair permission to sign contracts for a minute. Let's cover transition of leadership discussion and the equity coordinator. So just so everybody knows, the executive committee met. We've been meeting once a month with Bill and Bob when he's not too busy at Leland and Gray putting out fires. So one of the things we did is we're having Bill take the computer that he's been using since he's been superintendent with him, and the new IT person is going to create a superintendent emeritus something or other web account, just so that if Bob needs anything from him, he's got a way to contact him without Bill having to put out his personal email or his new professional email out to people. We did the same thing with Stephen before for Bill. So we thought, the executive committee felt that was very appropriate, and we just didn't have a chance to have a super board meeting about that, or the big board, but I hope nobody has a problem with that. And I know Bill is going to be leaving us pretty much right after graduation, and Bob will soon assume the throne July 1st. So I think Bill and Bob, is there any other things on transition that we need to know, or?
Just that, Bob and I will both be gone on June 16th. Bob will start on July 1st as superintendent. And we've organized so that all the students will be gone, but in case there's any emergency or anything that happens, Jen McCusick, who also has her superintendent's license, will be the emergency contact. She will be in the area. So if any principal or employee at central office needs to have some sort of level of superintendent decision, We have a person in place for that who will be in obvious concert with the board officers. Of course, we don't anticipate anything, but just in case, we've set that up. And then also Lori Garland will take care of any financial decisions that need to be made between June 16th and June 30th. So just want to make sure that everybody understands that we've got those bases covered just in case, so that when Bob starts on July 1st, anything that happened between the 16th and 30th, we have people in place to make those decisions and, confer with the officers just in case. Just want to make sure that everybody knows that those are covered.
And I did ask Bill to look into that because Emily, I don't know if you remember, but when we asked the superintendent to leave, that was something that kind of jumped on us, that we had to have somebody in place. So I was just a little concerned to make sure that's there. So Bill, thank you for you and Bob working on that and taking care of that for us. Is there any questions about transition in leadership? A lot of head shaking, no. Bob, you want to talk
Rich, I have so many questions, but it's not really for this group. Now, Bill and I have been starting to meet pretty regularly throughout the spring. And I've been meeting with Jen quite a bit, meeting with Lori as well, just to get a picture of what's going on. Greg and I are in regular communication as well. And Stephanie and I have always had regular meetings too. So I feel like it's going to be a pretty smooth transition. So I'm excited to start the new gig, and so I hope I don't let you guys down.
Hey, so Bob, can I volunteer you for one other thing?
Is it after July 1st?
No, it's now. Just so everybody knows, Bob and I and Bill and Scotty and Wayne from Newbrook and Marlboro are on the Jedi team, and we're doing there is street data, and we're talking to different groups. And because I didn't fit in any other groups, the administrative people took me under their wing and let me go play in their group. So Bob and I have been touring all the schools. I'm sorry I missed Jamaica, but I've been to every other one. And Monday we go to Townsend, and we've been talking to all the staff. So Bob's been introducing himself and getting a lot of input from staff too, which I think, there's some really interesting stuff out there. And I think it's valuable for both the board and for Bob and for the district. So he's trying to start to get to know people. He knows the Leland Gray people, a lot of the West River people, but he's also getting out to the other schools. So I think that's really great, Bob, and I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, it's been really exciting. Just so you guys know, the Jedi team has been collecting data from students, from the community, and from educators. And so our job as the administrators was to do the educator side of that. We'll have a collection of data from all the schools, both disaggregated by school, and hopefully find common themes. And they're all around the theme of equity. So what is working, what is not working from an equity lens, we'll be able to hand that off to the new equity coordinator, as give them a starting place of what their rollout might look like. So we're excited about all that information. Plus, with the number of new principals in the SU as well, we have some data about their buildings, like what people are liking and not liking. So we'll pass that on to new principals as well. So it's been a great, it's a lot of fun touring with Rich, and he shows up most of the time. So it's been good.
Bob,
this one.
Oh, sorry, Rich. Bob, could you just also talk about how you are approaching the enormity of new leaders that are coming forth? I think it's a really unique approach, and I think the board would really like to hear that.
Yeah. So one of the things that we realized that with, my role is really to coach the principals and to mentor the principals, which is a daunting task with 8 buildings, but knowing that also how many new ones we're going to have. And some are new principals, some are experienced, but they'll all be new to us. Even if they have experience in the building, their role will be different. So Jen and I spent a lot of time talking about that, and we've reached out and crafted a rough draft right now of a plan with the Principal Association. And what we're going to do is we're going to have 2 kind of coaching groups. We're going to have an elementary coaching group and a secondary coaching group. And the VPA is going to work with us to do that. And they have people who have expertise in each of those areas. Mike McGrath, who's a secondary principal, who's the assistant director. I'm not sure exactly what his title is. We'll work with our secondary people from Leland and Gray, and obviously the Marlboro person will have access to them as well. But the elementary person will be Erica McLaughlin, who's another associate director at VPA and an experienced elementary educator. She won the elementary principal of the year the year that I won high school principal of the year. And so those groups are going to meet monthly, and we're just working out the details of what that will look like. So that will be in addition to mentoring that they get by individuals. They'll have this group coaching model. They'll have Jen, they'll have me, and then they'll have each other as a bunch of newbies coming together. So I'm pretty excited about that model, and putting it together and figuring out how that's going to all play itself out. So that's how we're going to support everybody.
Thank you. And unless Bill threw us off a little bit, Bob, but it was going to segue so well into your next topic about an equity coordinator.
Yeah, thank you. So we have hired an equity coordinator to begin July 1. And so I want to thank you guys for the work that you guys have done to really cement ourselves, I believe, as a leader, at least in Southern Vermont, and I can't speak to the whole state, but in not only passing the policy, but developing the statement that you guys developed, which I think is really pretty groundbreaking. That person we're bringing in, her name is Dr. Lindsay Turgeon Brown. She has been a classroom teacher in the elementary school level, and has her EDD in educational leadership as well, and just finished her cohort through Southern New Hampshire University. She is from Chester and Springfield area. And she is very excited. We were hoping she'd be able to join us tomorrow with our last Jedi meeting of the year, but unfortunately she's out of town, so she's not able to. But we'll get her up to speed with what's going on and pretty quickly, and task her with some stuff to do, and she'll be reporting out to you guys as well as an entity. Very excited about her candidacy, and yeah, she's thrilled to be doing this work. And we're also going to continue to work with the collaborative for educational services that we've been working with to run Jedi. They're going to continue to consult with her at least through year 1 to get her up to speed. And there are also several different equity and diversity coordinator affinity groups throughout the state through the VSA and just through some general informal communications as well that she'll have support through. So we're feeling pretty good about that. And yes, when we have more information to share, we'll share it. But happy to take any questions about her as well.
And just as an aside, because I wasn't aware of it till Rachel said something, Jeremy Kirk was the other board member on the Jedi team attending the meetings. Even though, as Rachel said, I think he got really busy because we saw less and less of him. And so if there is anybody on the board that wants to serve on the Jedi, it's usually one meeting a month. It's very interesting. Having lived grown up in Newfane and attended Leland and Gray, I didn't know how much I didn't know until I found out what I didn't know. And and then on the state board with the equity stuff that they're working on from one of the senators or House representatives, I forget the act number. There's a lot of stuff to it, and it's been really eye-opening, and I've enjoyed it a lot. So if anybody does have interest, we can take a couple board members too, and again, I think you'll get a lot out of it. So, and unfortunately, Wayne and Scotty, who are kind of the driving forces, Wayne has got a new job. He's going to be working in Windham Southwest as because there were some, I don't know if you've read the paper, there's some issues down there, and he's got a 3-year deal with them down there to work through some of their problems. I think he'll be really good for him. But I think he'll be really missed both at Marlboro and on the Jedi team. So there's no other follow-up with Bob. And we've approved that, so you'll just get us a contract to sign eventually. Okay. I want to go to the WCSU Transportation Committee creation because I think Paul was here for that. And Al, that came from the West River group. Do you want to talk about that? Or is there somebody else, Bill?
I can jump in.
Okay.
So West River 100% renewable, if I got that correctly, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong. You're muted, but did I get it right? West River 100% renewable?
Sustainable.
Darn, okay, it's close.
Close. Yeah.
Has been talking with the West River Education District Board about it started out at electric buses, but it's really just talking about, things that we as a system, as a community can do to be more proactive in climate change decision-making. And transportation was kind of the first opportunity because there were a lot of grants out there. And in discussing with the West River Education District Board, it kind of became apparent that, River Valleys was also engaging in these conversations, and Marlboro has hinted at some of these conversations. And so the West River Board asked to have this on the agenda to ask the WCSU Board, would it be prudent to just create a WCSU Transportation Committee as a starting point to kind of have these discussions with all these entities that are having these discussions, as an opportunity to, if we can think systematically, it may be several years out, but just the ability to create a committee that's charge would be to start looking at the WCSU entities and their transportation needs and their transportation desires. Would that be something that the WCSU board would like to do? Does that sound about pretty good, Al, Paul, and Greg?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a good summary.
Yeah, Bill, part of it too is River Valleys has a really functional transportation committee that we've addressed bus stop issues. They reviewed the bus RFP for Dover before it went out in the fall. And that works really well. And West River Transportation is already part of that because they provide transportation for Wardsboro. And so I just thought, with some of the things that Paul wants to do, the best step forward would be to create something SU-wide, where then, as we all learn more about the buses, we can support all these schools in starting to transition toward this when the time comes, and the potential of sharing with the large amount of grant funds that are available. The idea of, having maybe a couple of buses at Marlboro, one at Dover, and, and a few say at West River at some point, that would kind of be the best way to support both that and to be able to help the other districts review their bus routes and review policies and whatnot, and streamline that throughout the district. So that was kind of the idea of doing it SU-wide.
And I think if I could add to what Greg said, what West River Valley 100% Sustainable brings to the table is in the past 2 years, we've explored different companies that have a kind of a cradle to operation system where they can put groups in touch with grant monies that are available. They have electric buses and they can train drivers. They can help with the charging, sort of the nuts and bolts, if that option was something that the board wanted to do. And I think, as Greg said and Bill said, getting all the players to the table at the same time and looking at the economic benefits of electric and the climate change impact, those are important to have all the people who are affected to be part of that decision-making process. And also, as Greg said, and Bill alluded to, it's not something that can happen as much as there might be some interest in change quickly because of all the players and the interests involved and the fact that there is a contract already. This has to be a long-term game, 5 years out. But the planning, I think, to make it happen would be best if there was a transportation committee.
So is it that we would make a motion to form a transportation committee and then the chair gets to appoint a committee and we'll get people who are interested and figure out what the makeup of that should be and then ask for volunteers?
That is absolutely perfect. Yes.
Allison.
I just had a question. I'm sorry. Does that mean that the individual transportation committees within each of the other boards would be disbanded and it would go to the WCSU? Just a point of clarification on that.
I mean, I would say no. I would say you might have a representative from those transportation committees participate in the global transportation committee. And then as that moves forward, you could decide in a year or two whether it's necessary to have both the global and the individual, but I would not change what currently exists. This
I
would be
know
a-
River Valleys won't change for a while.
Right.
Because we're a different beast. We go to different schools than the West River group, and
I
But-
only ask because somehow I'm on the transportation committee for you, Rich. So
as a
don't
parent,
ask. Yeah.
yeah. So I think why don't we do this? If you folks are okay with this, why don't we have somebody make a motion to form a WCSU Transportation Committee to look over the entire WCSU transportation issues, and then what we can do is we can ask Greg, and I'll meet with Greg and maybe Bob towards later in the summer, and we'll see what we think a good makeup would be that we'll suggest to the board. And hopefully before our meeting in the fall, we can have an idea of a charge for that group, and we can bring it up there and then ask for volunteers. Does that work for people?
That sounds awesome.
Just step in the right direction. Yeah.
So somebody want to make that motion?
I'm happy to make,
Whoa. Emily, go ahead, and then I'll let
Wait.
Dwight second it.
you want Dwight to say it, or you want me to say it?
Go ahead.
I'd like to make the motion to form a transportation committee at the Windham Central Supervisory Union.
Dwight, would you like to second that, sir? Okay, we're having issues with you. You sound like Mickey Mouse. We have a motion by Emily and a second by Dwight. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
It appears to be a unanimous decision. Paul, we'll be in touch with you, and if you can maybe keep in touch with whoever you got involved in here with. And then
Sure.
this fall, late summer, early fall, we'll let you know what the makeup looks like if you guys want to participate or put forth some possible people who may want to serve. And Greg,
Okay.
sometime this summer, Greg, can we just maybe do a phone call with you, me, and Bob, and spend 15 minutes just start talking about what you think it should look like?
Yeah, I'd love to. That sounds great.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you for waiting, Paul. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for the quick approval. And yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
So I'm going to bounce back to item B, board chair permission to sign contracts action. Bill, I got a question. There's a lot of teachers in here, like 1, 2, 3.
So those are WCSU employed teachers.
Okay. So we have, and I think, Bill, I wrote them down as a list. So there's one, Julie Treadway. It says AST in Marlboro.
So that's an academic support teacher employed by the
Okay.
WCSU and working in Marlboro.
Okay. And then Stephanie Beatty Hancock, our SPED director, Greg Frost, director of ops, Lori Garland, director of finance, Michelle Hartgee, assistant director of student services, Jen McCusick, director of curriculum, instruction, and assessment. And then the following teachers in no particular order: Heather Chapman, William Connolly, Christy Crawford, Erin Crespo, Dina Donza, Kara Emily Evans, Patricia Pelton, Catherine Reed, Kelly Rounds, Susan Shuck, Allison Sullivan. I forgot, that's somebody else you stole from Dover. Carla West, Melissa Wood, William Gallagher, Amanda Georgeson, Megan Hibbard, Michael Krikorkian.
Kirkorkian, yeah, good.
Okay, Beth Merrill, Ellen Ostrander, John Riley, Kimberly Robinson, Carly Sanderson, Dale Sherman, Carrie Tao, Darcy West, and Dana Zazinski.
Well done, sir.
Okay, so can I have a motion that the chair be allowed to sign the contracts for all those previously mentioned people?
I'll make a motion to allow the chair to sign the contracts for the noted people.
In a second, please.
I'll second.
Allison, I'll give you the second since you just came here. Make sure your husband doesn't run by the picture again for me. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is, so I'll get them signed, Bill, and you want to pick them up tomorrow?
Are you coming to Jedi tomorrow?
No, because you're doing a live meeting. I've got a couple meetings, so I won't be able to make that, sorry.
Leave them in the black box. I'll pick them up.
Okay, it won't be till tomorrow morning because I'm home tonight.
Perfect.
Okay, is there any other new business that anybody needs to bring up? I see we had Doug here for a minute. He left.
He just came on my request in case we needed to keep a quorum. He's just a good
Okay.
guy.
So if there's no other new business, we're pretty much right on time. Actually, quite a bit early. Family engagement, it's policy E1. So this hasn't been adopted yet. So this is going to be, we're making a motion to post it.
No.
Oh,
We warned it at our
Okay.
April 26th meeting. We're adopting it now.
okay. So can I get a motion to adopt policy E1, family engagement?
So moved.
Thank you, Al. Can I have a second, please?
I'll second it, Dana.
Thank you, Dana. So I have a motion by Al, a second by Dana. Bill, it's been properly posted. It's been more than 14 days. Is there any discussion? Or are you ready to vote? Seeing people shake their heads, yes to vote. All those in favor of E1 family engagement signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
It appears as though the ayes have it unanimously. They do. So policy E1 family engagement's now adopted. Bill, you have an executive session, but I don't think we have anything, do we?
No, I just leave it there just in case we had to add something. We do not. So we're good to go to the final beautiful.
So no, we're not going there because I got to say one thing. And this is our last meeting with Bill as our superintendent. Maine's, it's definitely Windham Central's loss for what Maine's going to gain. Bob, it's nothing against you, but I think you're going to do a great job. Bill, you've been an amazing superintendent. I want to do something for Bill. Bill asked me not to. I said, well, what if we have a live meeting at the end and at least have a cake for you? And Bill said, if you have to do it for yourself, it's okay, but don't do it for me. I want to just get through the year. I want to ride off into the sunset and I want to have good memories for people. So Bill, I really appreciate everything you've done, not only for Dover when you are our administrator, but for Windham Central. I got to tell you, we went through something that people will never believe in 50 to 100 years that we went through with COVID. And, you know, having meetings with you weekly, feeling very confident, your administrators feeling very blessed. I think most of your staff felt happy. For the most part, you know, not everybody is always in agreement, but you had to make some tough decisions and you really helped us as boards to make those decisions. I think the world of you, buddy. I wish I could have finished out my career as a school board chair or a school board member with you. I was figuring someday I would serve on the state board and you would actually be the commissioner of education. But again, I think Maine is going to really benefit well with you up there. And I know it's something you really are looking forward to, not having night meetings, getting to spend a lot of time with your wife. And I've been very impressed how you do something for a period of time and then you just cut all ties and go on to your next adventure in life. And I wish you the best in your next adventure.
Well, thank you very much, Rich. That's very kind.
Here, here.
Yep.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
And look at Bob's throwing out confetti for you, Bill. So with that, I would now look, because it's, you know, quarter of, so we're like 15 minutes early. What's that motion we need?
I would love to make a motion to adjourn at 7:45 p.m.
Okay, folks, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Bill, it's been great. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you,
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Good night, everybody.